This is a review of the 7 Artisans 10mm f2.8 full-frame fisheye lens. I think this is probably the widest lens I've ever shot. It has a 185-degree angle of view, which is enormous. This lens is so wide it can almost see behind you. The standard of manufacturing is very nice, as we've come to expect from 7 Artisans. It's an all-metal manual focus lens with mechanically operated focus and aperture rings in the old school tradition, and they both turn very smoothly and freely. The minimum focus distance is a very close 15 centimeters, so this lens will bring you very close to your subject. This is a very wide lens with an inherent very large depth of field, even shooting wide open at f2.8, and setting the lens to 2 meters will bring everything from 2 meters to infinity into focus. That's a really handy feature when you're shooting on the street. It means a lot less time spent focusing and more opportunity to capture the subject, although because this is such a wide lens, you'd need to be very near to your subject to make a street portrait. A very wide lens of this kind can be lots of fun, and I very much enjoyed shooting it. It was fun to play around with the very considerable distortion this lens lends to images. This lens makes the world look very different. Subjects in the near foreground appear magnified, while background subjects seem much smaller, and distortion is such that there are few genuinely straight lines to be seen, and the field of view is enormous. I particularly enjoyed making close-up images for maximum distortion and large open panoramas full of air and space. But this isn't just a fun lens, this is a carefully constructed optic with a spheric and extra low dispersion elements in its design, so optical quality is very high. Fisheye lenses like this one are often used in architectural photography and in astronomical photography too, where it's often important to be able to capture as large an area of the sky as possible. 7 Artisans seems to have anticipated that use, since the engraved markings on the lens are filled with glow-in-the-dark paint, a really nice touch. This lens gives very nice colour with good saturation and very good depth. Colours really pop from this one. This good colour performance is supported by strong contrast, although this can drop if the sun strikes the large front element at the wrong angle. The lens is very sharp at its maximum aperture of f2.8, and subjects are rendered cleanly and crisply. Very wide-angle lenses like this tend to be inherently sharp, and this one is no exception. Like all lenses, it becomes sharper as you stop it down, and the already very large depth of field increases too. There isn't too much background blur available from this lens except at the minimum focus distance, and you need to be very close to your subject to see it. But what there is very nice and soft, and it makes a very nice complement to the main subject. It occasionally appears in the back of a shot when you're shooting generally, but unless you're specifically trying to make some blur, shooting wide open at the minimum focus distance, for example, you're not going to see too much of it. The lens does have some chromatic aberration, and it can be seen if you're shooting, for example, bare tree branches against the sky. It's worse at the sides and corners, but it can appear in the centre of the frame too. The lens comes with front and rear lens caps and this very nice case which offers good protection. It's available in Sony E-mount, Panasonic L-mount, Canon R mount and Nikon Z mount. A very nice true fisheye lens offering a very wide angle of view and a usefully close minimum focusing distance from 7 Artisans.